Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook updated on Thursday the 14th of November. The overall pattern is staying cold as we go to the weekend and beyond. The mountains very much in winter condition to the lowest levels in Scotland, more on the higher tops of England and Wales, but bear in mind there is some snow cover on the high tops there. Now, the weather conditions not particularly bad as we go through the next 4 or 5 days, but a few flies in ointment along the way with some further snowfall at times across the mountains. And temperatures next week may be just lifting gradually, but I don't think anything too mild at this stage. We'll start off with temperatures and the usual 850 millibar chart. Now that's going to be corresponding to about the very highest Scottish tops. It's slightly higher in the atmosphere because pressure is building a touch, so we're around sort of 1350 metres or above on this chart level. Still gives us a useful steer though, and as we go forwards over a couple of days, you'll see that the cold air mass will stay in place. As we head into this weekend, you'll be looking at temperatures on Ben Nevis summit, the Cairngorm Plateau, around -3, -4 on the higher terrain. You'd be looking at the temperature on, say, Snowdon, Scafell, around -1 or -2. Just to skip that on briefly into the start of next week, and you'll see sub-zero temperatures prevail at this height in the atmosphere. The freezing levels stay down. There'll be some further hard frosts in the valleys and glens, and on those particularly cold nights, it'll take a long time through the day before temperatures genuinely lift above freezing, even at lower levels. So it is a cold message that is continuing. Let's take a look through the charts for the next 5 days. And for Friday, we have a northeasterly wind that's strongest from southern and eastern Scotland southwards, near gale force, at least in the morning, across the Pennines, the Lakes and Wales. That speed will just tend to ease down a touch through the day, but it maintains a significant wind chill factor throughout most of Friday. Lightest winds towards northwest Scotland. In terms of some sleet and snow flurries, those will come in from the east onto the Pennines, 1 or 2 making themselves across the Lake District, but quite scattered here. A few showers may just graze northwest Wales, as there's a bit of a convergence band just over the Irish Sea. Much of Wales, though, may well escape largely dry. Some low cloud coming in from the east, best of the breaks across the west. A similar story for Scotland as well, with best of the cloud breaks and the sunshine across the western and northwestern highlands. Greatest risk of low cloud and some snow flurries towards the Cairngorms and more eastern hills. Onwards into the weekend then, and a slack pressure pattern with the isobars really opening out across the British Isles, so the story is one of light winds. Now we've got 2 zones of quite slack low pressure, just doing a bit of a pincer movement, if you like, across the British Isles at this stage. It leaves many places actually in for a quite optimistic day in between the 2 systems. We've got one front that's still loitering across England and Wales, which may try and spoil things as this just pivots in from the east, and it's zones of residual low cloud and some early morning mist and murk, which could hang on through the day, and risk of some patchy rain, sleet, bit of snow on the higher tops coming in off the North Sea. I suspect the further west you are across Wales and Lake District, more likely dry. And across Scotland, essentially a dry story with some sunshine, a bit of low cloud in places, some fog in the valleys and the glens, and just maybe need to watch for that front toward the west, encroaching in toward the west coast as the day goes on. Here's Sunday, and it's still a slack pattern, so not too much wind around for most places. It has the prospects of being a bit of a mucky sort of day, though, with dregs of a front coming in from the west and the northwest. We're sort of pushing away the feature that was around across the south of England and Wales, but it's an atmosphere that is just likely to have low cloud in places, some patchy sleet and snow and a bit of rain at lower slopes, not amounting to a great deal in many places. I don't suspect it'll be too heavy, but some could just hang on to that rather murky, damp pattern for much of the day. Keep an eye on your details, and some places may well come out quite well, others I suspect stay quite dull throughout Sunday. Now by Monday, low pressure is toward the east of us. There's another low that's developing over the Atlantic. We're sort of in between systems again, and pressure is quite slack. Risk of a stronger northeasterly wind just coming across, say, Pennine areas. It looks as though it's lighter winds further west across Wales, the Lakes and much of Scotland. Some sleet, snow flurries again are possible, maybe just coming into the Pennines, also northern Scotland. The absolute detail is uncertain at this stage. Risk of hard frost overnight, particularly in the Highlands. and temperatures staying cold through the course of the day. In terms of low cloud, it's going to be an awkward one, just exactly what's left over from Sunday. Some places, again, could just be the atmosphere is damp enough to hold the moisture, hold the murk for a good part of the day. So I can't promise wall-to-wall sunshine. It could be a rather dull November day for some, but locally you could just escape with a fine day. Which is a similar story, it must be said for Tuesday. I can't absolutely guarantee where the pressure patterns will have got to in terms of the slack situation we'll have had up until this point. It looks as though we've got a front that's trying to push back up from the southwest, which is just a sign of a change into the middle of the week as we just change the airflow direction eventually. At this stage, though, we're still pulling in a cold air mass across Scotland. There may be some snow flurries in there. A slack pressure pattern really southwards through central Scotland, through northern England, with hard frost in the valleys in the morning, some fog that may be stubborn to clear, some banks of low cloud, but essentially a dry day for many places, and the wind still looking light. So heading towards midweek, and it looks as though that low pressure system that was approaching from the southwest will try and encroach further in, and just changing the source region of the air over a few days, and it's just starting to import it more from Central and Southern Europe, and with time temperatures will just tend to lift, so you'll be climbing just above freezing, say at around 900-1,000 metres. You may even just nudge above freezing on higher tops as we head through the week. We'll watch the details on that one. It just looks as though the trend is a lifting of temperatures. I'll say less cold at this stage. It doesn't look as though it's a hugely very mild air mass. I think it's just a change that brings some air in more out of Central Europe, as opposed to recently it's come more from Scandinavia. So it's just that slight change of pattern. It looks as though it's a southeasterly wind that will prevail. We've got high pressure around Scandinavia. We've got low pressure somewhere around Biscay. So the driest, brightest conditions would be favoured for the west and northwestern coast of Scotland, where there could be quite a lot of sunshine around in this sort of situation. Elsewhere, though, with that feed coming up from the southeast, it could just fill in with a lot of low cloud. There will be some precipitation around as well. Could be a bit of sleet and snow on the higher tops, chiefly rain at lower levels. The detail of that is uncertain. But I think as we head toward the end of the week, many indications would still favour that general southeasterly fetch. So slightly milder, still a bit damp and a bit murky, best of conditions towards the northwest. So subtle changes over the next week to 10 days, but as I said on Monday, I suspect that the overall pattern in the weeks ahead is one that is more commonly cold. The patterns that have been around recently will tend to come back around in the sequence, basically, so I still think there's plenty of cold weather this side of Christmas. We'll see how things go, of course, and keep you up to date here at the Mountain Weather Information Service. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.